Unsolved, a Nancy Drew production.
Tonight's episode, 8 Zodiac Killer Suspects. Act 1. Robert Ivan Nichols, aka Joseph Newton Chandler III, was born on September 12, 1926. He served in the Navy during World War II and was injured. Here is a copy of his registration card, and you can see his date of birth and where he was born, and a description of him being 5'8" and weighing 150 pounds. And then here's a postcard he sent to his mom and dad to check out his handwriting. And then here's another letter that he sent to his parents to look at his handwriting some more. Robert Ivan Nichols died on July 24th, 2002. Act 2. William Mcduff Andrew was born on February 14th, 1945 in San Francisco, California. And you can see by this U.S. 1950 U.S. census that their family lived right here. And I put some arrows on the map, and the black arrow is pointing to where the phone call was made after Darlene Ferrin was shot and killed. The blue arrow is where they lived, and the red arrow is where Darlene Ferrin lived at the time of her death. Here's a sample of William's handwriting from an application for a Social Security number when he was 18 years old. And then William got married on October 24th, 1974 in Vallejo. William Andrew died November 16th, 2014. Act 3. Richard Reed Marshall was born in Texas, and the date listed is March 13th, 1926 on the web. And he lived in San Francisco during the time of the Zodiac murders. And at the time of taxi driver Paul Stein's murder, he lived at 143 Scott Street. And you can see how close that is. The murder is circled in blue. Act 4. Lawrence Klein, aka Lawrence Kane, and other AKAs, was born on April 29th, 1924 in Brooklyn, New York. And he was a career criminal. You can see here his mugshot from 1943. And then here you can see another mugshot. It looks like from 1959. And then here, looking at his military registration card, you can see what his writing looked like. And then here on the back you can see his description. And then here you can see how much he resembles the sketch from Lake Berryessa. And the only thing is, the sketch kind of makes him look young, but side by side they look very similar. And then here's an article that was in the paper about him getting arrested in California, Northern California. Act 5. Richard Joseph Gaikowski was born on March 14th, 1936, in Watertown, South Dakota. And he went to high school and graduated from high school at Webster High School in 1954. And he got a job as a newspaper reporter, and he draws my interest the most of all the suspects in this video.
The whole thing about a code, you got to remember also, once until a code is broken, you have never any way of knowing whether it's a real code or whether it's just a fake code. You know, like the military and all of that, sometimes you would send garbled messages that meant absolutely nothing, so that you get the enemy to spend all their time trying to break the code.
Richard died on April 30th, 2004 in San Francisco. Act 6. Gary Francis Poste was born on November 8th, 1937 in Potsdam, New York, upper state. And he had an automobile accident, and he moved to Northern California. And he was there around the time of the Zodiac murders, and he left around 1974 to the Sierra Nevada mountains, which made him look suspicious. He also might have been at March Air Force Base around the time that Cheri Jo Bates was murdered. Gary Poste died on August 23rd, 2018 in Stockton. Act 7. Arthur Leigh Allen was born on December 18th, 1933. And Leigh seemed to be at all the locations. He was right there. So maybe he's not the Zodiac killer, but he was right there in Vallejo, at Lake Berryessa, in the San Francisco area. He was there. So it's hard not to put him in the list of suspects. And Arthur Leigh Allen died on August 26, 1992. Act 8. Ross Mercer Sullivan was born on July 28, 1941 in Syracuse, New York. And the main reason that he's a suspect is he attended RCC, the same school that Cheri Jo Bates was murdered at. And so he left immediately after that murder, and he moved to Northern California. And he died in 1977. Epilogue. So I believe these are the 8 major Zodiac killer suspects, unless I forgot somebody. And whoever did it killed David, Betty, Darlene, Cecilia, and Paul Stein. Well, this ends this episode of Unsolved, and I really worked my tail off making this one. So I hope you enjoyed this episode, and it gives me a lot of things to look into. So I'm not sure if I'm going to do another episode like this next weekend, or just focus on one of the suspects in this video. So I'll see you next weekend.